one of the biggest things we've seen this all season is just how the running backs have been kind of devalued. They've been on the decline, from a value standpoint the past few years. From their peak in like 2016, 2017, with guys going in the top, 5 picks. But since then, teams are just looking to kind of discard those guys. You look at Zeke Elliott, you look at Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley. These are just a few of the names that have, been on almost like the chopping block almost. Some have signed deals. I think they've all signed deals recently, but it didn't take, it wasn't a short amount of time. It took quite a while for that to happen. So I really just want to talk about how the position is being devalued and just how that is, being looked at for a good team. Like, do you have to have a good running back? Like, is that essential for a long-term run? That sort of thing. So, I mean, I really think that the running back position it's necessary, but I see why it's being devalued. I mean, you really have like five really good guys. You've like McCaffrey, you've got guys like Dalvin Cook. I mean, he just signed with the Jets, got Saquon. But it's just like these guys are like few and far between. There's not like 20 of them, like wide receivers or so. But overall, I just think that there needs to be more good running backs, and then it can't be seen as so replaceable. Like, you can't be like a game 14 and the guy just comes in and runs for 100 yards easily, because then you're like, oh, wow, I paid nothing for this guy, or he came off the practice squad. Like, that's exactly why, like they're getting devalued. Like, wide receivers don't just come off the practice squad and go for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Never really happens. So, I mean, I think we just have to kind of figure out, get these guys, maybe better players overall, consistency, like have a plethora of them, like plethora of them, just because there's not enough. I think that's the biggest reason. There's not enough good players. That's why it's being devalued. And guys coming out of nowhere and just have careers, for like 4 or 5 weeks at a time. I mean, where are you guys with it? I mean, like, I just think that's like the biggest reason for me.
Tommy G, open us up, man.
Well, you know what I mean? And we're going to get to this a little later. I think that running backs, you can find a serviceable running back almost anywhere, just based off, the strength of your offensive line. Now, that's not to say that you're going to have Pro Bowl or All Pro talents, because you got guys like Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard. But off air we were talking, you know, Boss Man stated that the days of Emmitt Smith, Adrian Peterson, where you need one of those grueling backs to carry you season in, season out, those days are done. I mean, look at Josh Jacobs. He led the league with 2,053 all-purpose yards from running back position. He signed 1 year, 12 mil. Saquon Barkley, who we all know the Giants benefit, especially Daniel Jones, not having a single. I mean, barely has any serviceable receivers, but Saquon gets 1 year, 11 mil. He gave you 1650 all-purpose yards, and we know that offense is going through him for the most part. Tony Pollard, even though he fractured tibia, came in 1,000 yards on the ground for the Cowboys, and he gets franchise tagged for 10 mil. And then Austin Eckler, he's getting ready, his contract's ready to be up, and we're looking, and we're going to get to this point too. The NFL is transitioning from a situation where it's run game, pass game, to where it's all right, pass game, defense. You know what I mean? You have to have an elite defense to get to the quarterback, and the quarterback is the most important part. And I mean, realistically, a lot of these running backs, they get hurt a lot. Tony Pollard, fractured tibia. Miles Sanders, who just signed a 4 year, 25 mil with Carolina. He's just coming back from a groin injury. Running the wear and tear running backs happens a lot faster because they're grinding nonstop, getting smashed. People liking hits with running backs to car crashes, full speed car crashes. So the shelf life of a running back, it's a lot shorter than what it once was. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott's only 27 now, and he's long gone from Dallas. I wish him the best of luck. Everybody on this panel knows I love Zeke. Me and Hefe have gone at it back and forth. From his pass blocking, just his loyalty to Dallas and Dak. That relationship in itself. So everybody knows I love Zeke. But it was his time. It's his time, and we just have to accept that. Running backs, even though I'm a little bit biased because I was younger, I love the position. You know what I mean? It's easier to find a serviceable running back that can get you over the top or get you over the hump, as you said, Trev. They'll have a couple weeks where they're shining bright, but if those couple weeks happen at the right time in the season, you get a Super Bowl, and then you just move on to the next, man.
Yeah, you said Austin Eckler, and that kind of made me think about how this dude was undrafted, and now he's like one of the top, if not the top running back in fantasy football this year. he is obviously looking for a deal. He was super productive last year, but that doesn't matter. They're looking at it like, dude, you're gonna break down. You cannot keep this up, and we don't want to pay you money with no production. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, I get that, but it's like, dude was so good. How many players were so good last year and they got paid this year still? You know, like that's a big disparity because a big part of his game is catching the ball, not just running between the tackles.
I mean,
If he
even
was a if he hold on, but if he was a first round pick, is he getting paid?
Uh,
Not not by the
that's the thing.
Chargers.
He got paid technically.
Is he?
If you ask his manager, he got paid because the first round pick in the NFL, they get a certain amount of guaranteed money. You know, like they get a lot of money up front, and also they have the option year. You know, where if you in second round, you could be number 33, pick number 33. You're gonna get that 4-year deal. You'll be up for a contract renewal quicker, but you're not gonna be able to get all that money up front necessarily. So they say the conversation about that is like, cool. You paid him a lot the first year. Jonathan Taylor got paid a lot of money, I'm sure. Was he a first round or second round? I think he was like right in between, was he?
I can't remember. I think he was a second round pick.
Yeah, I think he was a second round pick. But if you look at Barkley, obviously a first round pick. I mean, you know, they're able to kind of play with that a little bit just because of he got paid.
Taylor was a second round pick.
He was second round. That's right. That's right.
that's the thing. Like we're also not drafting running backs in the first round anymore. I mean, granted, Bijan Robinson just got drafted, so we'll see how that pans out. But it's you can find a running back anywhere, man. You can find a running back anywhere. And then this coming off season, we got a bunch of Derrick Henry free agent, Josh Jacobs free agent, Tony Pollard, Saquon Barkley, Dalvin Cook, Austin Eckler, Cordell Patterson. So it's a lot of free agents. We can if they don't resign, we can figure out what's going on, man. This a lot of moving, a lot of pieces can move around.
I like how you slide in Cordell Patterson there at the end.
Hey, man.
Is that what we're calling him now?
Sorry,
he's a hybrid player. I think running backs, if they want to get that money, they have to be considered hybrid players. They have to take a certain number of like snaps out wide. That's how you solve the problem.
Was that like back in the Le'Veon Bell when he was trying to get paid? He was like, I give you the production as a RB1 and a wide receiver too.
He wasn't wrong if you played PPR like fantasy. So
yeah, that's great. That's great in fantasy football, but
But look, people play fantasy football. That's a big driver of I think a lot of the people watching the NFL and putting money on it. So there you go.